Hello, and welcome to the Tutorial Toolbox. My name is Tobias, and this is Unity Game Development Episode 3. Last time we made the camera follow us, and then we spent a whole lot of time talking about Unity UI canvas settings, and then we quickly did a timekeeping, and that was it. So we're going to continue from where we left off. We are going to improve the timekeeping, and hopefully we're going to make a lot of things in this episode. So first of all, one thing I have played around with a little is I changed the gravity scale on the player's rigid body to a half, and I'll show you later why, but just do it. You can't not do it, doesn't really matter, but I think it looks better. And then I will change the jump height to be 75. Also just make it public so we can see it in the inspector. Makes it a lot easier. 75, there we go. I was playing around with it. That's why it said 50. Alright, so timekeeping. I'm going to change it up a little bit. We are going to make a new variable called allowed time. Set it to 300.0f. So basically, what I want is supposed to be a float. I want the player to have 5 minutes to complete this level, and if he doesn't, then he'll get game over and they'll have to start again. So to make this change and show how much time there's left, I also changed this to time left. Actually, might as well change it in the text here as well. Time left. And then I changed this horizontal overflow. It was at wrap. I changed it to overflow so that if we get too much, it'll just expand a bit. Probably not ideal. We could just make this like 200, and that should actually probably be better, but alignment and stuff, I don't know. You can change it up however you like. I'm just gonna make it very crude UI. You can change to make it as beautiful as you want, of course. But yeah, time left, and then we're gonna do math f dot floor allowed time minus time spent to string. So basically what we do is we take our allowed time and we subtract how much time has passed, and that gives us a floating number, and then we floor it to get an integer. The close, no, we are not supposed to floor it, are we? Isn't there some kind of trunk? Round to int. There we go. So we just round it to an integer. But again, that's also not the best way to do it. Maybe we should just trunk it. Let's just trunk it. Int. So basically, it converts it to an integer and throws away the decimal points. Alright. Doesn't really matter. Let's just keep the floor. It works. There's a lot of ways to do it, basically. What we just want is we don't care about the decimal points, really. They don't really matter. For showing of course, they're still in the code, they're still there, but they're not gonna be shown. So, yeah. So now we have this beautiful countdown. 297, 6, time goes on, blah blah blah. Also, you can see with the changed values when we jump, it looks a lot more smooth, I think, than it does normally. Also, you can jump a bit higher now. And of course, this is not supposed to happen. But anyways, let's move on. We don't want it to just fall forever when we fall down, so we're going to make a death. In our game manager, we're going to make a public player so that we can control things and look at things to do with our player from our game manager. It just makes it easier. We also gonna use the fixed update here because we have to do it with physics. And basically what we want to say is if player.transform.position.y is less than -1. So if we're really low, if we're low down below the game, we are basically dead. We're not supposed to go down there. This also means, of course, that when you build your levels, you need to keep them above y -1. Otherwise, the player will just die when they go down there. We also need something to happen, which is why we need two other things, but we'll make those after we've written the code. What we want to happen is we want to check if the player's lives -1 is greater than 0. Or we can also say if player lives is greater than 1. It doesn't really matter. So if we have, let's say if we have more than 1 life left when we die here, we'll just respawn us. We'll do player, whoops, we'll do player to lives minus equals 1. So we'll subtract 1 life, and then we'll do player to transform dot position is equal to starting point dot position. And if we don't have 1 life left, so if we have less than 1 life, meaning we have, so if we either have 1 life left, yeah, if we only have 1 life left or less somehow, but shouldn't be possible, if we have 1 life left when we die, then we die. So this is going to be the game over thing. We're not going to make any code for that right now though. So we're going to make these lowercase p's. In the player, we're going to make I'm gonna make this down here. Public int lives is equal to 5. So we have 5 lives. And then we need to create inside the world, we need to create an empty game object. Call it starting point at 0. And this is where the gravity thing comes in. I want it to spawn up here in the air so he falls down slightly, and if the gravity scale is at 1, it just smashes down into the ground instantaneously. It looks horrible. So we're gonna do this, and we are going to add a tag to it. Gonna create a new tag, call it starting point. There we go. And we're going to give our starting point the starting point tag. This allows us to find it easily later on when we make multiple worlds. This is world 1, of course, but if we want more than 1 game level, and then we need to move around our game manager, but we can't move around all the inspector dragged thing, for example, with our player, which for some reason it doesn't want to. Oh, there's a parsing error somewhere. We'll find it. But if we drag something in with our game manager, with our inspector, and we move it to another world, it's not going to have those connections to the same things, even though we have the same, even though we have the time text and we have the player and we have the starting point, we still need to drag them in again if we do it from the inspector. So instead we're going to do it from code, and finding things from code is easier if they have tags. So what we're going to do is we are also going to do a public, no, not a public. Sure, why not? Public transform starting point. But we are going to do this. We're going to do starting point is equal to game object dot find game object with tag starting point. There we go. And what is the error? There's a parsing error somewhere. And I found it. There you go. And this needs to be dot transform, of course. Since we're having a transform and we're looking for a game object, we just need the transform of the game object. We're not gonna do anything fancy with it. But you can see here, there's no starting point, but when we start the game, it's going to find the starting point and it's going to be there. So that's great. We need to drag the player though. We're also going to do something with that so we don't have to drag the player like that as well. But for now, this'll have to do. So one more thing, I don't want time spent to be shown in the inspector, but I think it looks better when they're all public. Also, if I want to manipulate the time spent somehow, maybe there should be some kind of bonus you pick up or something, I don't know, but when it's public, it's a lot easier to manipulate from other classes and stuff. So we're just gonna do this hide in inspector. And then it's not going to be shown in the inspector. So that's a neat little trick. Alright, so let's take a look at our player. We have 5 lives. And let's jump, and I fall down. No, 4 lives. Of course, it's basically I think we keep movement. We shouldn't though. And somehow, oh right, we ran out of lives, then we're just gonna continue. But let's see, do we keep movement? Yeah, we do. So we need to also do this. Player the rigid body. What did we call it? It needs to be public. Rigid body 2D dot velocity is equal to new vector 2 0 0.0f comma 0.0f. So basically no velocity when we restart. It properly restarts. And we died again. Let's see here. Of course, when we continue to... That's interesting. Anyways, when we continue to keep the mouse, no, not the mouse, continue pressing the arrow keys when we spawn, it's going to move when we spawn, of course, but it does that when we start as well. No, it doesn't, because I forgot to implement that. In the start, we also want to do this, player.transform position is equal to starting point position. So when we have loaded the starting point, we want our player to start up there. And let's see if I can make it. Yeah, we can move around while we're falling. So that's that. Of course, having to look at this is impossible when we play the game, so we need some way to tell our player how many lives they have. How do you do that? Well, we did it with time, and we're gonna do the exact same thing. Just gonna call this time. We're gonna call this lives. And then we're going to write lives. And we are going to move it. That's not supposed to happen. Lives, move up here in the corner. So what do we say here? We have bold 24 white One more thing I like though is that it's centered like that. Makes it a little bit better in my opinion. So we have lives, and of course in the game manager we also need to have public text lives text. We're also going to change this up later, but for now this will do. Update lives text. That text is equal to lives plus player.lives to string, and we should be golden. Or not. Of course we forgot to do this. And now we're golden. Fall ice. The behavior of the jumping is a little bit weird, I have found. But it's okay. It could be a lot worse. It could be not working. It is working, but it gets a little quirky sometimes with the collision and stuff. Being the circle and the smaller circle than the square and stuff like that, so it doesn't float. So yeah, but it works. So yeah, of course, let's see how much time do we have left. Oh, we have plenty time left. We can also do it in what should we do? Let's do some coins. Can't be that hard, can it? No, it isn't. First thing first. No, actually, let's leave the coins and let's fix the canvas. First of all, I'm just gonna move this just a tiny bit. First of all, we're gonna set it to the corner. And then I'm gonna move it just a tiny bit. So it doesn't collide with the border. Looks a little bit better in my eyes. Great. Alright. So we need to fix, well, fix in quote unquote fix. It's not broken, but it can be done better, or at least it has to be done different. It's the same thing with the searching for the starting point. If we make another level, we need this to follow along, and we need to search for it. So we're gonna do something different. We are going to do this public game object UI UI is equal to game object that find game objects of type canvas. That's a little bit weird to do it actually like that. It could there could be some problems from it. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but I'd rather do it like this. I don't know, it's easier. UI. Yeah. So we need, of course, our canvas to have the UI tag that isn't there, but it will be UI. And UI, there we go. And then what we do is there's actually two things we could do. We could, when we changed it here, we could do like this UI dot get component in children, But that's no, that doesn't work. Let's see what we have. No, that'll be difficult. So we'll just do it like this. We have time text to be equal to UI dot what's it called? Find. It's not find though. It is some kind of um. I'll just figure it out. All right, of course it's UI dot transform to find child. Then we're gonna do time get component text, and we're going to do the same thing for the lives. So lives text, and we called it lives, didn't we? Yeah, we did. That should work. Let's see if it does. It looks like it does. Maybe actually, if we just cleared this, set it to none, still works. So now we can search for it, and what we do is when we make a new world, we just call it the same things, and it'll automatically load it so that we don't have to drag and drop it, which we can't. So that's good. Next time we will make the coins, of course, make some kind of point system, and we'll also make our player be able to win the game. And then of course we're gonna make it a little bit harder so that we maybe the next not in the next episode, but the episode after that, make it a little bit harder so you don't just so the only reason you will lose is if you fall off. There will be some enemies, and there'll probably also be some other kind of stuff. That was weird. All right. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment if there's something you liked or didn't like. Also, of course, leave a like or a dislike, and subscribe if you want to see more. I'll see you guys next time.